Hey guys, so today we are going to be doing our test review. You're going to have a test in 2 days, so not tomorrow but the next time we have class, okay? So remember, for this you have to use the quadratic formula. So if you use anything besides quadratic formula, it will be wrong. And all of our equations need to be in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 in order to use the quadratic formula. And the quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay? Alright, so number 1. I don't have a b value because I have an a, it's attached to the x squared, and I have a c that's just a plain number, so I want to put a b on. And when you don't have one, it's 0. Okay, and then we're going to type in or plug in our information. So our a is 1, our b is 0, and our c is negative 25. So we put those into our formula. So we have negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so I just substituted those numbers in. C is negative 25, B is 0, and A is 1 because there's nothing in front, so it's a 1. Okay, then we have to do the discriminant. So remember, the discriminant is all that junk underneath our radical. So, oops, sorry, weird fraction. 0 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 25 is 100. So we have 0, which doesn't really matter, plus or minus 100 over 2. Okay, and then we're going to actually figure out what the square root of 100 is, which is 10. So we're going to split our two answers because we have the positive and the negative version. So we have 10 over 2, which is equal to 5, and negative 10 over 2, which is equal to negative 5. So those are our two answers. Okay, let's look at number 3. So number 3 is not in the correct form because I need it to be the ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, so I need to move my 120 and my n to the other side. So we're going to add 120 to both sides to cancel that out, and I'm going to add 2n to both sides to cancel that out. So now we're going to move them into this form. We have negative n squared plus 2n plus 120 equals 0. So now we use our quadratic formula. So x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so now we simplify. We're going to do the discriminant first. So 2 squared minus 4 times negative 1 times 120 equals 484. So I have negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 484 over negative 2. Okay, so we want to keep that as our second step. So now we're going to just figure out what the square root of 484 is. So I'm going to just plug that in my calculator, and that reduces to 22. Love it. I love when they're nice. So really, I have two fractions, one with the positive version of 22 and one with the negative version of 22. So that's negative 2 plus 22 over negative 2, and negative 2 minus 22 over negative 2. So negative 2 plus 22 is 20, and 20 divided by negative 2 is negative 10. Negative 22 minus 22 is negative 24. Negative 24 divided by negative 2 is 12. So those are my two answers. I'm just simplifying them out. Okay, keep going. I'm going to keep doing the evens. Okay, number 5. So that's already in the correct form. Love it. So now we plug it into our formula. X is equal to negative b. So it's negative b and it's a negative 2, so you need both negatives. Plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so we're going to do the discriminant in our calculator. So we have negative 2 squared. Make sure that's always a positive, so you want to put that 2 on the outside. Remember, if you keep it on the outside, it will say negative 2 times negative 2. But if you put it on the inside, this is different. This says this is like this in your calculator. Okay, so this is what your calculator sees, and that's why it gives you a -4. Because see, look, -4. But this is what we really want. So just be careful that we put that cute little 2 on the outside, minus, and we have 4 times 10 times -17, which is 684. And then 2 negatives make them positive here. So we've got 2 plus or minus the square root of 684 over 20. So now we're going to reduce 684. Okay, so 684 reduces to 6/19. Oops, I don't know why I put a parenthesis there. So that's the same thing as this. Okay, so we're going to split into our 2. So we have 2 plus 6 root 19 over 20. And 2 minus 6 root 19 over 20. I can take a 2 out of my 2, 6, and 20, so that's what we're going to do. Because you have to take the same number out of all 3 of them. So 2 goes into 2 one time. You have to put that 1 there. It's a placeholder. If you don't, then it looks like we didn't have anything in front. But we had something there. So 2 goes into 2 one time. 2 goes into 6 3 times. Keep your radical the same. 2 goes into 20 10 times, and it ends up being the same over here. 2 goes into 2 one time, 2 goes into 6 3 times, 2 goes into 20 10 times. Okay, let's do one more together. Number 7. So this is not in the correct form, so the first thing we need to do is move our 7 over to that side. We've got 7n squared minus 12n plus 10. And then we sing x is equal to -b. Remember, it's a -b. If your b is negative, you also need that other negative. Plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so we're going to do the discriminant. So we've got -12 squared minus 4 times 7 times 10 is -136. So I still have my positive 12 plus minus the square root, -136 over 14. Okay, so remember, the square root of -136 is the same thing as the square root of -1 times the square root of 136. The square root of -1 is I, and the square root of 136 changes to be 2 root 34. So really, this negative square root of 136 is 2i root 34. So this is what we're going to replace this with when we break into our 2 problems. So I've got 12 plus 2i root 34 over 14, and I have 12 minus 2i root 34 over 14. Now, again, on each of these, I can take a 2 out. So I can take 2 out of 12, which is 6. 2 out of 2i is I. Keep your radical. 2 out of 14 is 7. 2 out of 12 is 6. 2 out of 2i is I. And 2 out of 14 is 7. So that's how you do this guy. All right. If you have questions, let me know. You have your test coming up pretty quickly, and then you just have to figure out what Greg did wrong. So be really careful. He has all of his work shown. He writes so nicely. Have a great day. Bye!